Liam Neeson's daughter was kidnapped. What happens next will surprise you. Well, he saved her. But it's not the fact that he saved her, it's how he saved her. We got Bryan Mills, a retired field agent, who is trying to build a closer relationship with his 17-year-old daughter Kim, who lives with her mother Lenore and her wealthy stepfather Stuart. The story begins when a few friends who used to work with Bryan came to visit him at his place and talk about the good old days. Before they leave, they asked him to help them with security to take a pop star to and from her concert. He agrees. They go on to secure her. While Bryan was at the makeup room, he asked her if she had any tips for his daughter who wants to be a singer, and she rudely tells him to let her find another career. She went on and performed, and his daughter Kim calls her father to inform him that she wants to meet up with him at dinner. He agrees and hangs up. After the singer finished her performance, some crazy fans broke in the backstage, and one of them tried to attack her. Then Bryan comes to rescue the day and throws some ninja punches at him. Then they ran away to safety, and for saving her, she wanted to show him some gratitude, so she offered to help his daughter as a singer. After that, Bryan goes to dinner waiting for Kim, thinking she'd come alone. She didn't. She proceeds to tell him that she needs his permission to travel to Paris with her friend Amanda. And he's like, nope, you're still too young. Why do you want to go anyways? And she's like, Dad, hello, art, museum, duh. Which, wow, that sounds pretty boring. Imagine traveling thousands of miles just to see that. She says it's pretty safe and Amanda's cousins will be there, and he says he'd think about it. She got upset, and before he could tell her all about the help that she was going to get from the singer, she storms off angry, and Lenore starts to ask him, what's your problem? I don't want to put her at risk. Put her at risk by going to Paris? Pfft, you're pathetic. Well, I mean, he does have a point when a 17-year-old girl travels alone with her friend to another country, possibly encountering kidnappers. Then after that, he's like, okay, I changed my mind. I mean, I guess you're a big girl and you will watch out from strangers and you could take care of yourself. Literally half a day later. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but you need to call me every night, blah, blah, blah. Here's an international phone, blah, blah, blah. I will drive you to the airport, blah, blah, blah. You'd think at this point he will tell her all about the offering the singer gave him in hopes she might cancel the whole Paris already boring thing, but nope. He doesn't utter a word about it. So he drives her to the airport, and oops, it's Amanda Badanda. So Liam finds out that Kim lied to him and she's actually following a band doing a tour across a few countries, which makes more sense than going to look at art. Then he confronts Lenore about it. She goes on a rant on how he is strict and stuff. Did you know about this? Yes, I did. Why didn't she tell me? Because she can't be honest with you, because of your rules. Then she goes on and tells him that Kim needs to experience the real world, and oh boy she will. And tells him to let her live or he will lose her, and oh boy he will. He eventually lets her live. They board a plane and arrive at Paris, and a guy called Peter comes along and offers to have them pictured. Then he asks to share with them a taxi because supposedly it's expensive. Stupidly they agree. Bryan keeps calling Kim, she doesn't answer. The girls arrive at their place, and Amanda tells Peter that it's their cousin's place and they're not here. Kim seems to not be aware of that. He invites them to a party, unaware of his bad intentions. Amanda tells him what apartment they're staying at and to come and pick them up. He calls his people and tells them where they're staying. So the girls go inside and Amanda starts dancing to loud music. Usually when you come from a fight, you're probably tired. But I guess not our Amanda Badanda. So Bryan is still worried why she isn't answering. Then he calls Lenore to tell her that Kim isn't answering her phone. She responds with, she's 17, she's in Paris. Give her some space, let her live. Beep. Too many red flags, yet she still denies. He calls again, she finally answers. He asks her why she didn't answer the phone. She tells him that she was busy and stuff. Seriously, how is she not tired? Then Kim sees people inside the apartment. Surprise, surprise. And by the way, what kind of amateurs would come and kidnap people in the middle of the day? She freaks out and tells her dad. He gets out his anti-kidnapping equipment and starts recording the conversation. Then he asks her if they met anyone at the airport. She says Peter. So he tells her to go hide under a bed. He tries to calm her down, tells her that they're going to kidnap her, and tells her to shout their physical appearance when they grab her. Footsteps are being heard inside the room, but the sound slowly fades away. They grab her and she shouts their physical appearance. One of the kidnappers pick up the phone and Bryan has a phone standoff with him for a while and threatens him if he doesn't release his daughter with a very strong and intimidating voice.
I will find you.
And I will kill you.
Good luck.
So he calls his friend Sam and tells him to analyze the recording he sent him. Then he goes to Lenore's house, tells Lenore and Stuart what happened, and Lenore begs Bryan to get her back to her. Well, maybe Lenore, you should have listened to Bryan now, shouldn't ya? His friend Sam calls him to tell him what he found. Turns out a bunch of Albanian gang members are the one who kidnapped him, and they specialize in trafficking women. Based on their analyst, he only has 96 hours from the time she was grabbed to never being found again. Oh, and one more thing.
She needs to hear it, Sam.
Lenore is stupid.
No, no, no.
I'm kidding. I'm sure you're an intelligent and loving person who just wants what's good for her daughter. No, I'm not kidding. You're stupid. This is all your fault.
No.
He flies over to Paris, arrives at the girl's apartment, started investigating the place. He goes under the bed looking for monsters. He finds the girl's camera's chip and opens it to find Peter on a reflection at the airport. So back at the airport, we see Peter hunting for another prey and walks to this chick and fools her into riding a cab with him. But Bryan comes out of the shadow, grabs Peter and beats him up and starts asking him about the girls. Then Peter's wingman come and pull Bryan out of the car and starts fighting him. Bryan finishes him off. He looks for Peter and Peter's like... He takes the car and follows him. And just before he could get to him, Peter jumped from the bridge and got away. Oh yeah, right, he was hit by a truck. Bryan chooses to walk away instead of interrogating the other guy whom he just fought. Moving on, Bryan goes to meet his old friend, former French intelligence agent who now has a desk job. Let's call him Mr. Friend. Bryan asks him about the Albanians. He tells him that they came 7 years ago from the east. There were only 20 men. Now they're hundreds, so apparently they reproduce. He asks where to find them. He answers with their location. Then Bryan leaves and Mr. Friend here calls one of his men and orders him to follow and spy on Bryan. Bryan goes to the location that was given to him and a translator hops in his car and Bryan introduces himself as the fakest name you could possibly think of. Mr. Smith. Bryan gets out of the car and the translator is waiting in it and walks up to one of these innocent, honorable, just minding their own business women and starts to tease her. For absolutely no reason. But fear not, because one of the brave and chivalrous men walks up to them and slaps a bug off of the woman's head and starts to defend her. But after further research, apparently this guy is a member of the Albanian gang. While Bryan is being held against the wall by this guy, he bugged a spying device on his clothes. Then leaves and goes back to the car and makes the translator translate from the device he just bugged. And in the span of 10 seconds, these guys talked about 100 different things. Then they finally talk about a construction site, about some fresh merchandise. Bryan seems to understand where that is and makes the translator leave. He goes to the construction site and enters one of the trailers as a customer. He starts looking around in hopes to find his daughter until he reaches one of the rooms where he finds his daughter's jacket. He grabs this guy off of this girl and takes a look at her, but it's not his daughter. He starts asking her where did she find the jacket, but it seems that she's not in her mind right now. So he takes her and tries to run away with her, and he fights his way out of there. He drives off with the girl and they follow him, but they couldn't get to him and he escapes. Then the spy that Mr. Friend sent to spy on Bryan calls Mr. Friend to tell him all about what happened in the construction site, and he got upset. Bryan goes to a motel and medicates the girl he brought. Then Mr. Friend calls him and tells him that they need to talk. They go to a specified location to talk, however Bryan refuses to sit down with him face to face, which is understandable since they are trying to track him. So he tells him that he booked him a flight to leave Paris because of all the issues he has caused in the search of his daughter, and just basically not caring about his daughter. So of course he refuses. And they finally track his phone's location, but when they got there they only found a phone he left next to a walkie-talkie and couldn't find him. Then Bryan leaves the area. Bryan gets back to the motel and the girl he brought woke up. He starts asking where she got this jacket. She tells him that a girl gave it to her, which is Kim, his daughter. Then he asks her where did she give it to her. She tells him at the house. He asks for its location, so she tells him where that is. He goes over there. He walks in disguise as a fake dirty cop just passing by to collect his bribe. So the doorman tells him to wait, and these two have a staring contest for a while. The guy returns and tells him to come in. He enters the big boy's room, starts negotiating, and it kind of went something like this. I want a 10% rate. Why is it so high? Well, because we have you under satellite surveillance. We see and hear everything. Do you know how much it costs to move the angle of the satellite lens just to keep up with you? Why would I know that information? Well, too bad. By the way, who's Marco? We're all Marco. Really? You're all Marco? You want to play that game? The rate just went up another 10%. Hey, you think you can come here and extort us just because we're immigrants? Racist discrimination, immigrants flag matter. What? No, I'm extorting you because you're breaking the law. I mean, drugs, kidnapping, prostitution. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. We are guilty of that. We see that. So what's it gonna be? How much do you want? 20%. They give the money to him and he's like, good doing business with you, gentlemen. Oh, and by the way, can you translate this for me? And the paper had the word good luck in it, but in Albanian. And this guy reads it out loud. And Bryan immediately recognized the voice from the time he spoke to the kidnapper.
Good luck.
Wait, that doesn't even sound the same, but who cares? It's him. So he smacks this guy, shoots this guy, shoots that guy. Okay, basically massacred all of them. So now he is looking for his daughter in the rooms. Is that Kim? Nope. Is that? Nope. Finally, after all these years, he found, yeah, that's not her. Then he opens up the last door, and look who it is. It's Amanda Bedanda. And guess what? She's dead. Thankfully. I mean, no, that's so awful. Amanda. Anyways, instead of taking her body to give it back to her family, maybe, to give her a good funeral, maybe, he totally leaves it. So it turns out he left Marco over here alive, the good luck dude, and starts to question him where is his daughter, or else he will electrify his whole existence. Did you just spit on me? Yeah, I did. Tell me where she is. Achoo! Did you just spit on me again? No, sir, that was a sneeze, actually. The torture goes on for a while until he spits out the truth, which is that she is with someone called St. Clair. Bryan asks for St. Clair's location, but Marco doesn't know. Bryan gives him the last chance to tell him where St. Clair is. But the fact is, Marco does not know. And Bryan is like, I believe you, but it ain't gonna save you. Now he goes to Mr. Friend's house, and they greet each other like there's no beef between them. And the naive innocent wife here tells her husband to go and tuck the kids. So he does so, then he grabs the gun he hid under the sink and shoves it up his ass. They sit down, have a little conversation, then Bryan gets irritated and starts to ask him about the safe house the Albanian gang was positioned in, and how some dirty cops from his division seems to go there and make deals with them. I hope you're not involved, Mr. Friend. As long as there is roof over my head and food on the table, I don't care about anything else. Food on the table? First of all, you've always complained about how bad your wife's food is. Second of all, that doesn't give you the right to overlook the kidnapping, drugs, and prostitution going around in your city.
You don't like my food?
I do like your food. He is lying. And I don't know what you're talking about, Bryan. I am not lying. Tell me who was St. Clair. Well, Bryan, I don't know. And actually, I don't even care, so I'm taking you to the airport.
Why don't you like my food?
Shut up, Isabel. You have caused me a lot of trouble in my job. Mr. Friend, you should have checked your gun if it's still loaded. Like this one. Tell me where is St. Clair or I will kill her. You think you can come to my house, eat from my wife's food,
Nobody likes my food.
and shoot her, then expect me to help you? Yes, I will never help you with any... Here you go. Thanks, mate. He goes to St. Clair's location, sneaks in, he sees St. Clair, then follows him and tries to go in behind him. This guy won't let him, so he smacks him. He goes inside and sees this ordinary guy just asking him if he needs any help. Bryan is like, you poor guy, and smacks him and takes his champagne. And while he's at it, he also smacks this guy too. He goes inside one of the rooms. He is met with this person over here. Apparently these rich folks are bidding on women. Then Bryan takes a look at this girl, and he is shocked that it is his daughter, Kim. He finally found her, and threatens this man to buy her, until he does so. When he takes him and leaves the room, he is hit and passed out. Then here we see St. Clair. He starts to ask him why he is here. He tells him that the last girl is his daughter and he will buy her. St. Clair was like, no, this is business. There is no refunds. It's not personal. And he specifically emphasized on it being a business, not personal. Then he tells his guards to kill him and leaves. A guy starts choking him until Bryan is rescued by his old pal, Mr. Maintenance dude, who forgot to fix the loose tube over here. Then he is freed from his hands and kills them all. Uh-oh. Think. Dude, come on. We were just joking with you. Let me buy you a drink. He follows St. Clair and starts shooting at him, asking him where is his daughter. He answers she's at the yacht in the dock. And starts begging, please understand it was just business, not personal. Which this must be the dumbest thing to beg before someone dies. Like Bryan is gonna be like, oh, okay, I mean, you did kidnap my daughter, introduce her to drugs, sell her to a bunch of men. But since it's just business, I guess I'm gonna cut you some slack. You know, he killed him. Bryan goes to the dock, sees the yacht, somehow jumps into it, kills a bunch of people, then encounters this guy and has a boss fight with him. But Bryan eventually beats him. Then goes inside this room, finds Humpty Dumpty putting a knife on his daughter's throat. And it just so happens that this guy had such an enormous head that it was impossible for Bryan to miss his shot. And he is finally reunited with his daughter. They go home. Somehow they had no problem boarding a plane from France despite being chased by the entire French government. Then Kim reunites with her mother. Instead of apologizing for insulting Bryan and owning up that this was all her fault, she only says, "Thank you." You're welcome, but are you going to at least apologize for insulting me and for making Kim go along with her dumb dead friend to this trip despite my continuous concerns about it? No. Okay. After a while, he takes her to the singer that offered Bryan to help his daughter with her singing career, and Kim is extremely excited about it. You'd think that she'd learn her lesson by what happened to her, but instead, she wants to pursue a lifetime of stalkers and weirdos encountering her. Not only that, but she also completely ignores her friend's death, Amanda. Like nobody even cared about her. Not her family, her cousins, or even Kim. Like, come on, why nobody's mentioning her? But you know what? At least now, they can live happily ever after. Well, that until Taken 2 and 3 come out.